share more screen. Right, make this big. Okay, so the truth about cellulite, what it is, what it isn't, and how to change the narrative. But before we do, I just want to give a shout out. And again, this still gets harder every single week because there are just so many incredible wins. And that was the thing, actually, going through the check-ins on Friday was the thing that lifted me out of the dark hole that I'd got myself into because it was just, it's so incredible to see these wins and these achievements and everything that's going on inside of the program. But Kerry, massive shout out to you, has just bagged her dream career and that just means the world to us because again, that idea that you can do anything that you set your mind to achieve is just, it's the most empowering feeling. And we still massively believe in your health and fitness drives all of the areas of your life. It's not just about dropping body fat or training or all of these things. It's an everything piece. Maria winning players player of the season and actually getting a trophy for it. I know she put it in the group chat. A lot of you saw it, but that's an incredible achievement for somebody that really felt like she wasn't performing at a higher standard. And now she's actually got the team vote as the woman who deserves that trophy. Like, that's absolutely incredible. So, credit where credit is due, Maria. Helen, lowest weight for 8 years, massive achievement. Do you know what I mean? That's an incredible feeling to get to where again it's starting to impact all areas of her life as well, which is incredible. And then Keely, Kat shared with me this morning about going from it like so I remember when I initially spoke to Keely and she was going on like a girls' holiday in May and the trip has been and going from a size 22 down to a size 14 is nothing short of incredible. And that woman, let me tell you, she's grafted, but she was a woman on a mission and the holiday was like the anchor for her. So setting that big goal and absolutely going all in on it, it just demonstrates what can be achieved. And then obviously a really warm welcome to some of our new ladies who joined us last week. So we've got Amy and Ellie. So welcome to the Madhouse. I just want to start. So obviously, so we're talking about cellulite here. So put it in the group chat. Just drop a number one in the group chat if you've got cellulite on your body. So if you've got cellulite anywhere on your physique, just pop a number one in the group chat. Yeah, that's the right word. I was thinking. Yeah, so a lot of ones are going in there. So I felt like, and this sometimes comes up in check-ins or when people are being hypercritical or they're contemplating or seeing the differences, and I can see the differences when I'm looking at your bodies, obviously, as we're going through the program. But this is it. At some point, everybody's felt this feeling of, I need to fix my cellulite. So tonight, we're going to unpack where that belief came from, but also share why it is complete BS. So, where did it actually start? Shock horror. It actually started with two male cocks. Isn't it just wonderful, the concept that cellulite, so it was actually named as a disease in the 1930s, and it was by two men, which, you know, when you kind of go, ooh, I mean, the fucking feminist in me, that makes me really angry. But even still, it's like, it's so fucking typical that those kind of things were put onto us by men, and this concept that it was actually a disease and a flaw in the female body. It just honestly, it blows my mind. So that massively, the whole narrative of that got spun enormously by the press in its day. And essentially, it came under this concept that it was a bad thing, it was a disease, it needed to be treated and it needed to be fixed. And still to this day, we still kind of run with this narrative, don't we? Like probably a little bit less so, but even so, it is still very much there. So imagine declaring something that I'd actually say is probably higher than 90% of women, this concept that we have this defect when it's actually completely fucking normal. And the very fact Excuse me, the very fact that so many of you ladies voted that you've got cellulite on your bodies, again, just demonstrates that this is not just an individual thing. And I think this is something that when you're intimate with somebody in your life, or let's say probably more so like a new relationship where you think, oh God, like, are they going to think this? Are they going to see that? But this has been indoctrinated into our minds that this is something that needs fixing. So, what actually is cellulite? So, it's just fat stored beneath the skin. And it's basically separated by fibrous connective tissues called septae. So the bands pull the skin downwards. So while the fat pushes upwards, it creates this little dimpling effect. Now, it's not a disease in any way, shape, or form. It's not caused by toxins, poor circulation, or even being unfit, which is the really important thing here. Now, some of the ladies, a lot of you guys have gone on to have children. Your bodies change, and it's a little bit like stretch marks. And I feel like, again, the rhetoric has kind of moved where a lot of women can appreciate what their bodies have actually gone through in order to be able to create a human life. And usually it's seen as quite a good thing, but cellulite never feels like it's attached to that similar kind of rhetoric. But the majority of women worldwide have got cellulite. Men have a different connective tissue structure, which is why it's often less visible. Some men do have cellulite. Sometimes it can be more like you can see it in certain men over others, but a lot of the time, and again, this is why it was created by men, this concept, well, I don't have it, women have it, therefore it must be bad, it must be a disease. But there are influencing factors. So, genetics, hormones, especially estrogen. We all have estrogen going around our hormones through our bodies. Things like the pill, again, it's like basically changing around the estrogen going around your body and manipulating that. So, even things like the pill can aid that. Age, loss of skin elasticity. So Thomas and I always laugh about this because his skin is fucking elastic. I mean, like the guy can pull his face like out here. My skin does not move. And I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm like, it is what it is. Fat distribution and skin thickness. So again, you'll notice cellulite shows up in particular areas, and that's the reason why, due to where our fat distribution goes. So one woman might experience it more on her legs, on a maybe around her bum. Some might be more around the stomach area. Like, but again, it's likely to follow where the body fat stores itself on a woman's body, and usually they are very similar places. Like I've obviously spoken to every single one of you coming into this program. I can guarantee the parts of your body that you shared you did not love are the same for the majority of the other women inside of the program. Couple of different nuances. And again, in perimenopause, this is where you're going to start to see changes in your physique in the areas that, again, it can exasperate that. But lifestyle as well it can play a part, but not necessarily just down to laziness and sedentary lifestyles. That's not necessarily the cause. But what's not going to work is the marketing bullshit. The traps that very similar to fat loss as well, isn't it? Like I'm sure a lot of you guys have tried the lotions, the potions, the tea, the fat burners, the pill, the this, the that, all of this fad shit. It's very similar to cellulite. Those are the things that are not likely to work. Crash diets, again, same as dropping body fat, that you might see short-term results, but it's not likely to get you to where you actually want to be. And extreme cardio. So one of the first things a lot of people do when they don't love their body is they'll start running. And 9 times out of 10, it's probably more likely to move them away from their goal rather than toward. There's nothing wrong with running, but you need to get the basics right, usually first. So, what can help? So, building muscle. Shock. Do you know what I mean? That is why every single one of you guys is following some form of a lifting program. Now, it might be a little bit more hybrid for those of you who enjoy a bit more CrossFit style training or the high rock style training or wherever you're at in your journey, but there is always lifting involved. And I can see this week in, week out. So when somebody's been in the program for a nice period of time, and I can see that body fat melting away, and you can see the cellulite melting away with it. And I actually acknowledgingly give that as feedback. So you'll often see me reshare your photos back with you. And one of the huge differences that we can see is those little pockets of fat now have muscle, and what it's doing is essentially just pushing the skin out. It's moving it back out again, and it's filling those kind of capillary gaps. So you will see the cellulite start to fade away. I'm not saying we can eliminate it. That's not the world that we want to be in either. Like, we should be proud of our bodies, but we can definitely start to minimize the view of it. Losing body fat gradually. So again, this is why we're not forcing you guys to go at lightning speed. This is why we're not putting anybody on 800 calories. And I'm trying to, even some of you guys, I'm trying to convince you, and this is a really interesting thing that's happening at the moment, where I'm trying to convince you guys where your calories are actually set quite high and you're kind of freaking out going, oh, like, do you know what I mean? But I'm not used to dropping body fat on 2,000, 2,500 calories. And I'm like, you've got to trust the process. And then there's even women at the minute, and again, this is really interesting, where it's this concept of going, well, my macros have been set like this for a long time. Are you still dropping body fat? Yeah, the results are still amazing. Then why the fuck would we want to change it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I remember having this conversation with Mandy a long time ago as well. And she was like, but I feel like I need to drop them. No. The concept is we want to have as much food as possible. And trust me, some of the women on this program are on lower calories. They would probably give their fucking left arm to be able to switch with you and have higher calories. I'm in my deficit right now. I think there's I think there's only one person that's about level with me. Do you know what I mean? All the rest of you are probably on less than me, and I'm dropping body fat on 2,200 calories. I refuse to go lower than that because I don't need to. The whole purpose is that we want to have as much fuel as we can and stop seeing the concept of food as a bad thing. If we want to build muscle, if we want to end up with the best physique, if we want to get to a point where we are dropping that body fat beautifully and sustainably, I don't know what's going on with these dogs again. It seems to turn 8 o'clock and they're fucking wired. Just ignore Hector. He's running around with this giant heart, which is just hilarious. He just wants to hump it. Anyway, but this is the point. Stop thinking that small calories means big results. Like, we've set what we've set you so it's sustainable and so that you can stick to it, so that it suits the lifestyle of where you were. So it's not dropping you down from, and the reality is for you to put on body fat, you've been in a calorie surplus. So when you're telling me, oh, the calories I'm on feel really high, you were on way more than that. You just have to come to terms with the fact that that is the truth, because that's the only way to put on body fat is by being in a surplus for a period of time so that the body fat starts coming up. Nobody just puts on a stone, 2 stone, 5 stone, 10 stone. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a period of time of slightly overeating. So I'm asking you to eat less, but not like dramatic. If you've been eating 3,000 calories and I put you on 1,500, I'm asking you to eat half. And the body fat, like I say, what we're going to do is lose muscle mass. And we cannot be doing that inside of this program. That's the piece of the puzzle that your future is built on. That's the piece of the puzzle where we are going to end up with that tonality. That's where you are going to be able to fuel your body at a higher rate with more food in the future. So that if you want to go out for dinner, it does not matter. If you want to do certain things with your friends or your loved ones, whatever, birthday cake, like, none of these things are going to matter to you. So we have to get those metabolisms firing from the highest point that we can. And also, the more you've got to lose, if we drop your calories really low straight away, we've got nowhere to go. we've got nowhere to drop them to going forward. So we want to be doing that line beautifully so it starts to come down. Resistance training, naturally, it's improving your circulation, your skin health, and creating that tightening of the muscle tonality. Again, feeds into exactly what we're teaching you guys to do. Hydration and nutrition supports the collagen and the skin elasticity. So these pieces of the puzzle coming together. Now, some of you guys do take collagen. I've got no issues with that whatsoever. And especially if you're over a certain age, which is typically what we coach, 30 upwards. This is where some of you guys, you may well be taking collagen supplements. And there, like I say, there are no issues. Now, if you are a meat eater, you are likely to be able to get collagen from a number of different sources of the food that you're already putting into yourself. If you're vegan, vegetarian, can start to get a little bit trickier. So this is where your collagen supplements can come in handy. But what we're doing, guys, is again, the weight training, the strength training, the progressive overload. It's giving you that lifted, firm look. That is what we're designing this for. We're getting you to train the parts of your body that we know we want to look incredible. It is going to create that sculpted shape that we're talking about. You can't turn into the Incredible Hulk through strength training. Never gonna fucking happen. But we want that beautiful, feminine physique that actually is exactly what you want to be creating. And this is the thing, it's not about fixing cellulite. We are not broken. It's about empowering your body. So we're not here to chase that flawlessness, that airbrushed look that you see in the magazines. They are shifting the narrative on that again now. So now it's become quite unreceptive. We don't want to see that airbrush look anymore, but we're here to build strong, toned, and confident bodies that don't need to be filtered, hidden, or apologized for. We stand our ground because that's the kind of women that we are. It's normal. Cellulite is not a fucking disease. So if anyone in here is thinking it's horrendous, it's not. It's completely and utterly normal. And you've got to remember the fitness and beauty industry thrives off insecurities. That is kind of their purpose. Do you know what I mean? Buy this supplement, take that, spend your money on this and do that. When actually, if you get the basics right, you are going to be serving your body and yourself in the best way possible. So, lifting weights, fueling well, and improving your body composition is going to reclaim your power. So, the goal is not to erase the signs of being a woman. The goal is to redefine strength and confidence on your own terms. For the record, I have cellulite too. Do you know what I mean? And I'm completely at peace with that because I love what my body can do for me. I love the fact that it can carry 2 times my weight in the gym. I love the fact that it can take me on my dog walks, which are one of my most favorite things to do, to spend time with the boys every day. I love the fact that when we were doing this renovation and the range master behind me, it weighed 120 kgs, and I was like, I've got this. Not on my own, I'd like to add, because otherwise I wouldn't have fucking had an island still standing. But this is the point. Being able to move your body, carrying your children on your shoulders because it's easy, being able to like just have no worries, no fears. Like that is what our female bodies are capable of. And for those of you who have had children, whether it was like vaginally or through a cesarean, it doesn't fucking matter. They're your bodies, they're your journeys, and that's what it's all about, empowering you as women, because that's exactly what we're here for. So, does anybody, let me stop my shirt, cough up a lung. Does anybody have any questions around cellulite? We'll start with that one. The Hulk is cool though. Imagine we all just turn green. So anybody or any shares, anybody want to share like how they feel about their cellulite or have how they have felt or anything that anyone wants to just add in at this point? Or any questions about anything at all? I will definitely not swear at this point. I can see the child. By the way, I put this right at the end of one of my voice notes the other day. And I think it might have even been today. It's been a really long day where I was like, I should have warned you, do not listen to my voice notes on loud around children. Like that's a disclaimer. I'll never remember to say it again or pre-warn you, but I'm a potty mouth. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. My mum's very ashamed of that fact. She's a very prim and proper woman. And I'm like, it's fine, mum. I don't coach you. I've always hated my cellulite, but I definitely look at it differently now. This is it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like, I really want every single woman in this program to really start thinking about what your body can do for you, thinking about how it serves you day to day, how you can learn to love yourselves. And I know we did that quiz kind of at the end of Q1, and we will do it again at the end of Q2. And I'm hoping that the kind of body confidence scores and the way that you feel about yourselves, it can be really empowering when you shift in your own mind how you feel about yourself. Here's a heard worse. Also a potty mouth. Yeah, there you go. So does anybody have any questions about their programs, where to find them? A couple of ones that come up quite frequently, and I just need to remember to actually add it in when I send you the information is so if I've programmed you, and I always try and remember to write it, but apparently I don't. So if I've programmed you 10 reps of, let's say, a split squat or a lunge, it's always on both sides. So it's not five on each side. It will be 10 on one side, 10 on the other, as an example. And I do try and remember to write each leg in brackets, but I do forget sometimes. And then the concept is that you always start on your weakest side first because we're training to get our weakest side up to our strongest side, and then we raise the bar as a standard so we don't end up with loads of kind of major differences between each side. The other one is whether you track one weight or both weights. So let's say like dumbbells again, lunges, if you've got a 5 kg and a 5 kg, do you track 10 or do you just track 5? We will know based on what you're doing. We will be able to see that our end. The most important thing for us is that you're trying to increase the load as you're going through your phase as we're going. And it doesn't really matter to us on our side. It's just what you're likely to remember. So if you're more likely to remember it as just one dumbbell, then put that in. If you're more likely to remember it as a double, that's fine. Put the total weight in. What you don't want to do is, let's say you 5 in each side today, and then next week you come back to it and it says 10 kg, and then you pick up your 10 kilo weights in each arm, and then suddenly you're trying to do 20. Do you know what I mean? You've just double, like, that's a lot. So just as long as you're remembering it, that's absolutely fine. My right leg is really weak. Do I focus more on this leg rather than my good leg in all exercise? No, no. So you don't, it's not a case of like, this is why we do single leg exercises. So always start with your right leg on yours, Gem, but you don't suddenly just want to abandon the other one. Do you know what I mean? We're training it all so it comes up together, but that's one of the reasons why we do train single leg to try and bring up the standard. I record us both together and then add a note so I don't forget. This is it. Yeah, this is it. And sometimes I'm annoying because sometimes I'll do both. Like I feel like for upper body, I tend to include one, and for lower body, I do both. More so because for me, so like I want to know where I leave off with the total weight with something like an RDL on dumbbells so I can directly apply it to when I do a barbell. So that's why I do it. But then sometimes I'm like, what the fuck is this? Where am I at? So maybe don't do it that way because it's annoying. How can I improve my arm strength? I notice my left arm is much weaker when I'm lifting weights. Now, you're always going to have a weaker side, guys. You are always going to have a weaker side because naturally, so let's say you're right-handed, you are going to go about using this hand through dominant activities throughout the day. It is literally your right hand woman. I'm not going to say man, I'm going to say woman. But do you know what I mean? So you are going to have a dominant side. We're never going to fully escape that, but this is why we do program the single arm, single leg exercises. But you will notice it. Ironically, I am right-handed, but my left side is stronger. And I am relatively ambidextrous, so I can't open a jar with my right arm. It wouldn't know what to do. I can't wipe when I go to the toilet with my right arm. It doesn't know what to do. But I am right-handed, so it's the most bizarre thing. But I know if I'm doing a bench press, for instance, this arm will always get up quicker than this one, but you're always going to have that. Like, we can't eliminate it. You're only going to go as far as your weakest side can push you. And that's when you're gradually just going to keep incrementally getting stronger as we go throughout the weeks of the program. So, organically, you will be stronger now than you were when you started, Susie. You're just still always going to notice that one side is a bit weaker than the other. Such as life. We're human beings and we like to do things with one side. So you could day to day start to implement more of the other side in the things that you do. You could start to try and do that, lifting things up with the other side so it starts to pick itself up a bit. But you're at a huge advantage just by strength training, full stop, because the majority of people still do not do this. So you're already light years ahead of somebody that doesn't strength train. So that's a positive in itself. Right. Any more for any more? Because I feel like a piece of shit. So we will call this one if everybody is happy. I think we're good. I think we're good. Well done for showing up for yourselves again. Let's have an amazing week and let's absolutely go after it for those check-ins again. If you are new, we will be doing those midweek Wednesday stalky stalks just to have a look at what's going on, but we want you to get a couple of days under your belt and then we will be back in touch with you guys on Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your nights. Thank you for the love and I will see you all very soon. Bye.